We continue the Desert Fathers, translations of Helen Waddell, with sayings of the Fathers. Of quiet. 1. Abbot Antony said, "Fish, if they tarry on dry land, die. Even so monks that tarry outside their cell or abide with men of the world fall away from their vow of quiet. As the fish must return to the sea, so must we to our cell, lest it befall that, by tarrying without, we forget the watch within." 2. The Abbot Antony said, "Who sits in solitude and is quiet hath escaped from 3 wars, hearing, speaking, seeing. Yet against one thing shall he continually battle, that is his own heart." And wouldn't it be better to just, use the abilities you have? 3. The Abbot Arsenius, when he was still in the palace, prayed to God, saying, "Lord, show me the way of deliverance." And a voice came to him, saying, "Arsenius, flee from men, and thou shalt be saved." And departing to the monastic life, he prayed again, saying the same words. And he heard a voice saying to him, "Arsenius, flee, hold thy peace, be still, for these are the roots of sinning not." 4. The Archbishop Theophilus, of blessed memory, came once to the Abbot Arsenius with a certain judge, and the Archbishop questioned the old man, desiring to hear some words from him. For a while the old man was silent, and thereafter replied to him, saying, "And if I tell you aught, will ye keep it?" They promised that they would keep it, and the old man said to them, "Wheresoever ye shall hear of Arsenius, come not nigh." Another time the Archbishop, desiring to see him, sent first to know if he would open the door to him. And he sent him word, saying, "If thou comest, I shall open to thee. But if I have opened the door to thee, I open to all, and then I shall dwell no longer in this place." And hearing it, the Archbishop said, "If I go to persecute him, I shall go to the holy man no more." 5. At one time the Abbot Arsenius came to a certain place, and there was a bed of reeds, and the reeds were shaken by the wind. And the old man said to the brethren, "What is this rustling?" And they said, "It is the reeds." The old man said to them, "Verily, if a man sits in quiet, and hears the voice of a bird, he hath not the same quiet in his heart, how much more shall it be with you, that hear the sound of these reeds?" 6. They also said of him, that his cell was 30 miles away, and that he did not leave it readily, but others did his errands. And when the place, which is called Skeet, was laid waste, he went away weeping and saying, "The world destroyed Rome, and the monks Skeet." 7. At one time, when the Abbot Arsenius was living in Canopus, there came from Rome in hope to see him a lady, a virgin of great wealth, and one that feared God. And Theophilus, the Archbishop, received her, and she prayed him to use his good offices with the old man, that she might see him. And the Archbishop came to him, and asked him, saying, "A certain lady hath come from Rome, and would see thee." But the old man would not consent to have her come to him. So when this was told the lady, she commanded her beasts to be saddled, saying, "I trust in God that I shall see him. For in my own city there are men to spare, but I am come to see the prophets." And when she came, the to the old man's cell. By the ordering of God, it chanced that he was found outside his cell, and when the lady saw him, she cast herself at his feet. But with indignation did he raise her up, and gazing upon her, said, If thou dost desire to look upon my face, here I am, look. But she, for shame, did not lift her eyes to his face. And the old man said to her, Hast thou not heard what I do? To see the work is enough. And how didst thou dare to take up thee so great a voyage? Dost thou not know that thou art a woman, and ought not to go anywhere? And wilt thou now go to Rome, and say to the other women, I've seen Arsenius, and turn the sea into a highroad of women coming to me? I don't necessarily, there are people, but, he sounds a bit sexist, don't you think? But then again, maybe he wasn't. He realized the danger out, as we've seen with an earlier example. There were people out there to attack the women, and they would have felt a duty to go stop them, and why aren't they staying with their families where they're safe? So this isn't much. So what we let's not rush to judgment too much, even though that was a usual problem back then. But she said, If God will that I return to Rome, I shall let no woman come hither. But pray for me, and always remember me. He answered and said, I pray God that he will wipe the memory of thee from my heart. And hearing this, she went away troubled. And when she had come back into the city, she fell into a fever for sorrow. And it was told the archbishop that she was sick, and he came to comfort her, and asked her what ailed her. And she said to him, Would that I had not come hither. For I said to the old man, Remember me. And he said to me, I pray God that he will wipe the memory of thee from my heart. And behold, I am dying of that sorrow. And the archbishop said to her, Knowest thou not that thou art a woman, and through women doth the enemy lay siege to holy men? For this reason the old man did say it, but he doth ever pray for thy soul. And so her mind was healed, and she departed with joy to her own place. Well, thinking of the good things of this world, including women, isn't necessarily a demonic temptation. It's, the ethics you decide to apply to and beliefs that you decided to apply to that, then that's, different story, right? For some people, not everybody, but 9. A certain brother came to the abbot Moses in Skeet, seeking a word from him. And the old man said to him, Go and sit in thy cell, and thy cell shall teach thee all things. 11. The abbot Nilus said, Invulnerable from the arrows of the enemy is he who loves quiet, but he who mixeth with the crowd hath often wounds. 14. The abbess Matrona said, It is better to have many about thee, and to live the solitary life in thy will, than to be alone, and the desire of thy mind be with the crowd. 16. A certain one told this story. There were 3 earnest men that loved one another, and they became monks, and one of them chose to bring to accord such as take the law of each other, according to that which is written. Blessed are the peacemakers. The second choose to visit the sick, but the third went away to be quiet in solitude. Now the first, toiling amid the contentions of men, was not able to appease them all, and overcome with weariness he came to him who tended the sick, and found him also failing in spirit, and unable to carry out his purpose. Now, spirit is not the same thing as though one's feelings and emotions are not, And the two agreed together, and went away to see him who had withdrawn into the desert. And they told him their tribulations, and they asked him to tell them how he himself had fared. And he was silent for a while, and then poured water into a vessel, and said, Look upon the water. And it was murky. And after a little while he said again, Look now, how clear the water has become. And as they looked into the water, they saw their own faces as in a mirror. And then he said to them, So is he who abides in the midst of men. Because of the turbulence, he sees not his sins, but when he hath been quiet above all in solitude, then does he recognize his own default. And